guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So we're here for another one of our mass making videos, and I thought what we could do this week is make some floating pockets. I made a floating pocket, I think on letter J, when I did jumbo for the 3 in 30 alphabet challenge. So I'm going to go along that same vein, kind of making, you know, a bunch of very similar type pieces. So I've brought along with me a whole bunch of different papers. Now most of these are A4 size papers. So I've got some plain ones that have just been coffee dyed. And when I say paper, they're ranging from 160 to 200 GSM. None are copy paper, you know, weight or thickness. They're all thicker. And then alongside that, I've also brought along a few offcuts from my 12 by 12 papers, because I thought I would make, you know, just one or two smaller ones. And also I've got just a couple of actual 12 by 12 papers, again, that I just thought I could, you know, cut down and make a couple from those. So yeah, that's kind of all you're going to need for the basic assembly. That with your scissors and your glue, I think is kind of all you're going to need. And then obviously if you want to decorate them, you're going to need, you know, a whole variety of things. Obviously, if you've been watching my 7 days working from my desk, then you will know that I'm certainly not going to be short of anything to decorate these pieces with. So yeah, let's get cracking. And as usual, I'll just talk you through the method for the first couple, and then we'll just, you know, relax into it and just have a chat and, you know, just enjoy the process really. So let's take, first of all, let's just take a sheet of just A4, I think. So just grab one of these. Sorry, they're all like stuck together now in my lap. So yeah, this is a 200 GSM and it's just one of my collage sheets. And it's one of the plain ones. So I'm just going to trim that down, because where it's printed on my printer, you know, on the borderless setting, but I think I've said this lots of times, when it sucks through very thick paper, although it does do borderless everywhere else, it doesn't do it on the initial piece that it's sucking through. So that's all I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to fold it over. And again, I mean, I'm making a couple of jumbo ones. I am going to make some smaller ones, but it's completely up to you. If you don't want to have jumbo pieces, you know, you want them different sizes, of course, alter your card, or, you know, use up smaller scraps, or however, you know, you fancy doing it. I personally just thought I would make a couple of really nice big ones to put in. But yeah, just kind of alter it as you see fit. Now I'm just going to cut off these corners like that. And I mean, again, really what I probably should do is do that corner thing, you know, where I take those corner pieces to get them all the right size. But again, I just thought I'd be a bit lazy and not do that. And then all I'm going to do, if you saw my 3 in 30, you'll know this. Let me just see whether I've got my bone folder, which probably would be useful. Hold on, let me just move the stuff that's all on my lap so I can actually stand up and see. Oh, and would you believe it? I can't see it. Oh, yes, I can. It's buried in my, you know, my pen pot. I am quite good with my bone folder, actually. I do generally try and always put it back, but of course there are the odd times when I don't. Now I'm just going to fold this in. I mean, as you know, I don't measure or anything. So I'm just going to fold that up like that, and then my opposite, you know, side like that, and hopefully they're going to, you know, more or less meet like that. And at that point, I'm just going to then squash them down with the bone folder. And then I will do exactly the same here for the, you know, the opposite end of the pocket. Like that. And this is where, of course, you know, if I had done my triangles literally identical, the whole meeting at the sides wouldn't even be an issue, because they would be, you know, properly identical. But obviously I'm a bit slack like that, so I didn't. So there we go. But I mean, it's turned out fine. Now, if you think it's still a little bit on the large side, because obviously if this were going in a journal, let me just pull in something to use to just demonstrate that. So if this were going in like an A4 journal, that would still be quite large. So of course, if you want to just trim it down at the edge, you know, then you can just do that. And of course I realise, you know, not everybody likes giant things. You know, I quite like big chunky things. So and also I do find them easy to work with when they're nice and big. Okay, so that's all you're going to be doing. And then just glue that in. I'm just using my normal, you know, PVA style glue, like that, and go down the other one. You just want to get the glue as close as you can to the edge, you know, the foldy type edge, and also the inner edge as well, if you see what I mean. And then you're just going to fold that over, press that down, like that. And then what I think probably you know, or certainly what I will do is paper clip my pieces just while that glue's drying, so that they, you know, they glue shut. So I'm just grabbing a few paper clips like that. Okie dokie. And the other side. Just so that it's, you know, holding together nicely and, you know, actually gluing shut. Oops. Now I'm running out of clips. Hold on. There we go. Like that. I mean, of course, you could use whatever you've got on hand. If you've got some bulldog clips or anything, then that would be, you know, just as good, or, you know, absolutely fine to use. So just use whatever you like to use for holding your pieces. And that's it. That's going to be your floating pocket. And obviously, you know, if you're not familiar with my mass making, you know, I'm just going to make a bunch, and then at the end we'll just decorate one up to kind of give you an example of the types, you know, the types of things that you can make and how it's going to look. So again, I've just got one of my printables here, and I'm just going to now do exactly the same, like that. You know, of course you can trim it down now if that's easier. So I'll just trim across the end there. And then take your ends and just cut your triangles in. And obviously, you know, depending on how big you cut your triangles will depend how far in your folds are going to go, if that makes sense. So, you know, if you didn't want it going in so far, just cut smaller triangles. Okie dokie. Get rid of that. But I think these are quite a nice addition, because obviously they're just floating. They're not going to be stuck down. I mean, you could stick them down. The idea is that they'll be nice floating pockets, which you know, you will just sort of clip in or attach in with like a bulldog clip or a paper clip or whatever, which is then quite nice because you can move them around, you can put them in a different journal. And if your journal's becoming a little bit on the bulky side, you know, as I'm sure many of us do, then you can just remove it altogether. So yeah, they've got kind of a bit of scope there, I think. So quite a good one to do. So just again, go along the score lines like that. Okay. Again, just run my glue down, you know, nearest to each edge basically of your flap. So the inside edge and the outside edge, and then just a little bit in the middle. Outside edge, inside edge, and then a little bit in the middle. That's it. And that's it. and just obviously again stick it down, and this is where I will be wishing that I had a lot more paper clips with me. Hold on. I mean, I was thinking, oh, I'll just you know, remove the paper clip from the other one as I go, but it might not be quite dry, so it's probably best that I at least leave it, you know, one in between, if that makes sense. So I could probably take the clips off in a moment, but probably for the moment I should at least leave the clips on. Oh, I can see all sorts of stuff under there, but can I see any paper clips? Of course not. Everything but paper clips, to be honest. Okay, let's just do this side. Okay, I've got a couple of bulldog clips, so I will just use those. Now, I should really check that I'm filming and I'm in frame, so I will do that in a moment. I'll just hang that back up and just clip that. Okay, right. Okay, let me just put one down as if I'm doing it, so that I can just see roughly where in frame, you know, what in frame looks like, if that makes sense. I'm going to try and do them like in a whole variety of you know, different papers and things, so I've got lots of different things. That might be a bit thin. Oh, it might be okay. So I've got lots of different papers to work with, but you know, now I've kind of talked you through a couple. I'll do a couple of small ones actually with those scraps, I think. Now that I've talked you through a couple, what I'm probably thinking is I'm going to try and do them in like assembly line style, where I'm literally going to do, oops, I'll take that out, where I'm literally going to do like one after another, but each stage at the same place, if that makes sense. It didn't even make sense to me when I was saying it, so it probably didn't make any sense to anyone else, but oh, never mind. Right, let me check that I'm filming, that I'm in frame. Yep, looking good so far. Oh, it's really warm up here today. Not that I'm complaining, because obviously the weather's been so horrible lately, but well, actually the last couple of days it's been quite nice, so yeah, I mustn't exaggerate. It's actually been quite nice, but yeah, ordinarily it's been pretty horrible for quite a while, hasn't it? So I'm just cutting this down. This time I'm just going to cut it down first, I think, just on one side. Now you see, ridiculously, I'm trying to hang on to this strip. Why am I trying to do that? It's because I want to cut this flower out. Oh, more rubbish for the desk. Oh, I'll just put that to the side. Yeah. So yes, I hope everyone's been having a good week. If you've been tuning into my series of 7 days working with what's on my desk, I hope you've been enjoying the series. Maybe it has spurred you guys on to sort your desks out. Who knows, maybe your desks don't need sorting out, you know. Don't mean to just imply that your desks are as awful as mine. They may well not be. But yeah, hopefully you guys maybe have been inspired and have done some bits on your desks. I would love to see pictures of how you've got on. I filmed my, you know, 7 days what's on my desk, like filmed it ahead, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But yeah, because I did that, I have yet to film the things that I made and the sort of update of how my desk looks now. Please don't be expecting some amazing transformation, because disappointingly it's not that great. The transformation is small, shall we say. Yeah, I mean, to the untrained eye probably doesn't look any different at all. To me it feels a bit different, because it was getting, you know, very out of hand, I have to say. So yeah, hopefully I will do that yeah, that video will hopefully go up this week, and I haven't filmed it yet, but hopefully I will get cracking and it will go up this week. Look at that awful printing, where my printer was obviously running out of ink there. Yeah, so the reason why I filmed, obviously, all my 7 days working on your desk ahead was because we finally went on our treehouse break. So, yay! So we went last week. Yeah, we had a really good time. I have to say, it was such a shame because the weather was really rubbish the whole time. I mean, the treehouse break, it was in Wales, which, I mean, anyone who lives here in the UK, you probably are familiar that Wales is not really renowned for its great weather. In fact, it's quite renowned for the rain. You know, so kind of rain was like to be expected, really. But I mean, we went for like 3 nights. So like 3 nights, kind of like, yeah, 3 nights. I don't know whether it would be like, I guess there was just like really 2 full days there, because obviously there was the first day where we arrived, and then there was like the day where we left, which we had like an afternoon and a morning, if you see what I mean. So it was such a shame because the day we arrived, the weather was quite nice, but obviously it was quite late by the time that we actually got there, because it was about 5 hours drive to actually get there. And then I'm just deciding whether I want to use this or whether this is a bit too flimsy. It might be a bit too flimsy, so I might just cut down some of that 12 by 12 paper. So yeah. Yeah, it was about a 5-hour drive. So to be fair, by the time that we got there, it was, I don't know, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something. So by the time that then we, you know, got our stuff out, and like what happens, you park like away from the treehouse, and then you walk down to your treehouse like across a, you know, what by the end was a very, very, very muddy field. So obviously we had to make a couple of trips back to and forth to get all of our stuff, even though we'd packed light. Packing light, obviously, as a family of 5, isn't necessarily everyone's idea of packing light, if you see what I mean. So yeah, anyway, so that day, I can't remember really what we did. I think we just kind of like chilled out and enjoyed the treehouse, really. And we had paid a little bit extra to have what they called a hot tub. I mean, when I say hot tub, you know, it wasn't like bubbling water, if you see what I mean. It was just like a wooden outdoor round bath, kind of more like. Which you have to chop the wood yourself. So there was an axe and stuff, and you just chop the wood yourself and chuck it into the log burner to heat up the water for the bath. So, or, you know, for the hot tub, so called. And yeah, so I mean, obviously, you know, my boys 17 and 13, they thought that was fantastic and very manly, chopping the wood. I didn't even have a go. I suspect I probably would have cut virtually none if I'd have had a go. So that took a long time, getting enough wood chopped to actually heat that hot tub for that first day. It did have a lid, and so actually we were really fortunate, because what happens is suddenly the fire is obviously hot enough, and there suddenly the water goes from freezing to actually boiling, you know, to the point where actually then they couldn't kind of get in it. It was so hot. And then there's a lid for it, and so overnight we put the lid on, and would you believe the next day it was still pretty hot. I mean, obviously we did put the fire on again, you know, quite early in the morning, but it was still hot enough to use, or warm enough to use. And it was the same situation with this shower. So it was an outdoor shower, like beneath our tree house, so like, you know, right at the trunk of the tree kind of thing. So you had to go down like a little sort of wooden spiral staircase thing to get to the shower, which was outside. And I think one of the days, I think, was 3 degrees or 4 degrees or something. But weirdly, I mean, I think I'd mentioned before how we had that where we had no hot water in the house. So, I mean, actually, the shower there, although it was outside, because it was then hot water, it was more pleasant than showering in our house, to be honest. But yes, sorry, I digress there for a moment. So that one as well, again, there was a log burner inside the treehouse, which again, that was how you fire up the hot water for the outside shower. So again, you know, there's a bit of an art obviously to getting it just right. So like the first morning I went to have my shower having had the log burner on for, I mean, not that long, but you know, I don't know, maybe like an hour or something after we woke up. And I went down to get in the shower, and again, a bit like the hot tub the night before where it just suddenly got red hot. The shower was red hot. So there obviously was like a sort of fine, you know, there was like obviously an art to getting it exactly in the right temperature, you know, having the log burner on between not enough, and it would obviously be stone cold, to suddenly it's like been on too long and it's just then red hot. So it was kind of a case of like soap and rinse as quick as I could, like without trying to stand actually under the water at all really. So but yeah, it was a lovely experience, and you know, it was kind of quite nice to shower outside in that sort of, you know, what felt such clean lovely water. And obviously, you know, there was a stream running literally right under our treehouse, and so I mean, it was a shame because the weather after that first day just deteriorated. So that morning after our showers and everything else, you know, we went out for this long walk up this mountain, which I have to say nearly killed everybody. It was very, very steep. And we got back and I said, oh, well, we just stopped for a cup of tea, you know, and then we'll kind of go and explore. Well, that was it. The heavens opened and we didn't go out again for that day. We just stayed in the treehouse. Luckily, I had taken some crafting with me. So I just kind of, you know, did some gluing and sticking of rubbish. They all did go in the hot tub a bit, even though it was raining, because obviously it was hot. I didn't, I have to say. I just stayed in the treehouse crafting. My daughter kind of like went in and got out and went in and got out. I mean, she loved the hot tub. But there were times when obviously it was like too hot that she couldn't go in. So, yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of that first day. And then the next full day, i.e. like what was then our last day, unfortunately, the weather literally, it poured. And when I say poured, I mean like properly really poured, like the entire day. So from the moment we opened our eyes, it was just literally pouring for the whole time, which was such a shame. You know, so luckily, obviously, because they're geared up for wet weather in Wales, they had provided details of like a driving tour. So like a driving sightseeing tour. So we did that. It took, you know, a couple of hours kind of driving around all the like local sort of beauty spots, which again was such a shame because they didn't look very beautiful. You could see how they obviously would on a nice day, you know, but I mean, even like getting out of the car, like there was a strip of beach. Nobody wanted to even do that because, to be honest, it was blowing a gale and really, really, really wet. So it was just like, no, I don't think we'll bother getting out. And my son and I had attempted to go for a small walk that morning already. So we had already got quite drenched. And we were just like, no, I don't really feel like getting drenched again. And then obviously when we got back, we still had to walk back through this muddy field back to our treehouse. So we were going to get drenched again. So yeah, we just stayed in the car and everyone had, you know, some chips from a fish and chip shop for like their lunch. Overlooking like a beach, which would have been beautiful on a lovely day. But as I say, you know, the weather was not making it look very beautiful. Well, it still looked nice, but yeah, we didn't get out. We just stayed in and my husband just nipped across and got the chips. And yeah, everyone just sat and ate the chips. But anyway, it was, you know, it was still fine, and it was good that they had that drive-in tour, you know, that we were able to do, because otherwise we would have been at a bit of a loss probably of what, you know, what to do. But anyway, it was good fun. And yeah, it was such a shame, because then the next day obviously was the day we had to come home, and just as is so often the way, it was lovely weather. It was slightly warmer, the sun was shining, it was just lovely. So yeah, what a shame, but that's so often the way, isn't it? And to be honest, you know, I mean, anywhere here in the UK, of course, the weather's not going to be guaranteed, so you just have to, you know, take that as part of the course. I've just suddenly realised I have got some large paper clips in here, so just going to pull those in to be able to have some extra. Yeah, it was such a shame, but, you know, it was still nice, and we still really enjoyed it. And obviously, you know, the fun was obviously being in that treehouse. Which, the treehouse itself, it was far more spacious than any of us expected it to be. I mean, I thought 5 of us were going to be pretty squashed in there, but actually they'd designed it so cleverly that, I mean, I'm not saying there was tons of space, of course, it was still only a tiny little area, but we were certainly comfortable enough, because it was kind of like divided into like a sleeping area with, like, you know, bunk beds, and then the kitchen type area with like the table, you know, where you sort of could sit and eat and things. But the other thing was, there was no electric there whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, obviously, as you know, I'm pretty rubbish always, and a bit behind on my emails and comments and what have you, but obviously that I just hadn't really factored in that there would be no electric. It just didn't really even occur to me. So yeah, I kind of had to switch my iPad off completely, so as to try and save some sort of charge for, you know, should I need it, like an emergency or anything. So I just switched it off, and then I just switched it on literally for like 20 minutes a couple of times, you know, to get me through. Yeah. Anyway, so that was very exciting, and we all had a really super time. Would really recommend it. So yeah, I mean, if you're in the UK, they were called living room tree houses. We booked it as one of those Virgin experiences. I assume you can probably book it, you know, other ways. I don't really know. But yeah, we would definitely highly recommend it. It was fantastic fun, really different experience. And I mean, there was a lovely hammock. Like, you know, they had, I think they had 6 tree houses, but they were all very spread apart. You couldn't see the other ones. You know, certainly you couldn't see the people, if you see what I mean. You might be able to see them a bit in the distance, but you couldn't, you know, you weren't like overlooking. So, you know, you had like literally your own little outdoor space where you had your hot tub. There was like a rope swing. As I said, we had like a stream running underneath ours. There was a hammock, which was a massive, huge hammock. So like the whole family, they said, oh, some people, you know, would like to lay on them and look at the stars. And again, I thought, oh, I'm going to do that. But I have to say, no night was actually dry for me to be able to do that. But we did all say, wow, you know, wouldn't mind coming back in the summer. I mean, we did have a look, and they're booked up for the whole of this year. So they're obviously very, very popular. But yeah, anyway, living room tree houses were what they were called. So if you live in the UK and, you know anyone who wants to go and stay in a tree house, or you fancy it yourself, would highly recommend it. We had a really awesome time, even though the weather was rubbish. You know, inside the tree house, it was so lovely and snug because you've got that log burner. You know, so I was obviously worried that we were going to be cold. It was lovely and warm in there. And yeah, it was really, really great. So we had a really fantastic time. Would highly recommend it to anyone who likes a bit of outdoors showering and things like that. no, it was just like a really lovely thing to do. So we all really had a nice time. So yeah, would recommend that. And actually, I mean, I quite like having no electric. I think it's quite nice. I think I've said this before, but the first couple of times that we've been to France, we just kept saying, you know, wow, the time goes so slowly when you're in France. And we put it down to the fact that, you know, whenever we've been to France, we've stayed in these like kind of campsites that they're like an eco type campsite. So they have no sorry, they do have electricity, but they have no TV, they have no Wi-Fi and things like that. So each time, you know, your time just goes really amazingly slowly. And I'm just convinced it's because you've got no TV zapping up your time, no internet, no phones, you know, because I mean, everyone, you know, myself included, obviously spends all their time online and on their phones and what have you. So it's really quite sort of liberating to go somewhere where actually there's not any internet. So when we had first gone there, we did come back, and for a few years we did the like no TV night once a week. I have to say the boys were younger then, so they were like, well, I don't know whether they were happy about it, but they were reasonably, you know, could be talked around to it. I mean, I mentioned it on the way back from the treehouse this time. I said about, oh, it's incredible, isn't it, how slow the time goes, you know, when you've got no TV, no phones, no this, no that. Perhaps we'll go back to our no TV night, you know, once a week. And the boys both were like, I don't think we will. So no, I don't think we'll be doing that. But yeah, we did used to do that. And I definitely think, you know, it's a way of making your time just slow right down. Yeah. So anyway, when we got home, obviously we hadn't watched the news or anything while we were away because there was no TV. And we had listened to the radio a little bit, obviously in the car, but, you know, not sort of a huge amount. Yeah, so I mean, obviously it's all very scary at the moment with coronavirus, isn't it? But I mean, I don't really feel I can really say too much about it because, of course, you know, nobody really knows much about it to be able to comment. But it is very worrying, and certainly here at the weekend, well, I mean, it's bizarre because in one breath everything just seemed to be carrying on as normal. In fact, places were heaving, you know, when you went out, everything was still very busy and everything else. But in the supermarkets, the shelves completely bare, you know, like of anything that wasn't perishable, i.e. pasta, tinned foods, frozen pizzas, all those kinds of things. Literally the shelves and the freezers were completely bare of anything like that. So yeah, it's all very worrying. And of course toilet roll. So yeah, toilet roll supplies are in demand, but yeah, it's all very scary. And I mean, I just want to, yeah, I don't feel qualified to really be able to say a lot about it, but I just really hope that you guys are all staying safe and doing well. You know, if obviously your country has, you know, sent out guidance to stay in or what have you, I hope that's all going okay. You know, maybe you're actually making the most of it and being able to craft and things. I hope no one's feeling really too anxious and you know, too scared by the whole thing. It is very scary. I completely, oops, sorry, I just stood up to check that I'm still filming. Yes, I am. There was a notification on the screen. Well, there still is, because I don't dare touch it and flick the camera off. But yeah, for a minute I thought it flicked the camera off. Yeah, anyway, so I just hope that you're all doing well and that it's, you know, that you're able to kind of get what you need, do what you need, maybe surrounded by, you know, caring people. I don't know, it's all very scary. So yeah, probably best to move on from that subject, because it's such a all-consuming subject, isn't it? Otherwise we'll be here all day. Okay, so on to brighter, nicer things, really. Yeah, so how did everybody do with the 7 days of clearing your desk? Did you join me? Have your desks been cleared now? Are they looking spick and span and just beautiful? I'm laughing because obviously I'm just looking up at mine, and no, mine is not looking that way at all. It is looking better, to be honest. Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, when you talk about that that subject that we've just said we're not going to dwell on, it really throws you, doesn't it? And you then have to just get past and move on to something else. Right. Having all my floating pockets now kind of floating off of the little jar that they're all balancing on at the side of the desk. There we go. So I think next week maybe we will do a fabric mass make. I haven't quite decided what yet, but just, yeah, bare fabric in mind. Possibly some buttons, possibly hot glue gun or fabric glue, depending which way we go. Yeah, time for a fabric one, I think. Oh, it's really hot up here today. It's because there's just that little bit of sun. And obviously because it's still chilly outside, I've still got my jumper on. You know, still wearing a jumper. And I also have the lights on up here when I'm filming. So obviously with the sun and the heat that the lights generate, it's stifling up here. So I'm like really, really hot. I would open the window, but to be honest, it would probably prove quite noisy. You know, there'd probably be quite a bit of traffic noise. So it's probably best that I persevere with the window shut. But yes, it's very hot. Very hot. Oh, talking of hot and cold and things. So just before we went to the treehouse, I'd mentioned that I had that hideous experience of the freezing cold shower because our boiler had gone wrong, and, you know. So the guy had come out to repair it, and, you know, thought, oh, thank goodness, you know. No, would you believe it wasn't repaired? And so the day we went to the treehouse, we got up that morning only to find, no, it wasn't repaired. It was still faulty, so we still had no hot water, and obviously then we were going to the treehouse, so we had to just leave it until we came back. So needless to say, when we came back, our house was freezing because of course the heating hadn't been on. And as for showering, oh my goodness, it was nicer showering outside at the treehouse than it was when we got home. Obviously trying to shower not only in a freezing cold house, but also in that ice cold shower. It was just hideous. So yeah, anyway, they did come out then and managed to fix it. Thank the Lord, because that's just not funny at all. Yeah, horrible, absolutely horrible. I mean, yeah, I think I said last time, but I know that some people do say cold showers are really good for you, but ugh, who would want to do that? It's just such a horrible experience. Right, there we go. I'm going to leave that one now to, you know, to glue together. Let me pick up the one that fell off. Right, okay. I think I'm up to, I can't really see because again, the sun's shining right on the screen. I think it might be like 38 minutes or something. So let's count and see how many that we've done. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which I don't think is too bad. So let's decorate one now. I can't decide which one to decorate now. What I should do is probably decorate this one so that I can actually use these flowers before they just get left there on my desk forevermore. Because there is a risk of that, I have to say. I have got this big butterfly here that again has just been sat here for a long time. I mean, to be honest, this paper's so pretty I don't necessarily want to cover it up. Let's see. Again, I'm just rummaging on my desk, seeing what I've got here laying around that I could use on here. Gosh, I really am very, very hot. Very, very hot. See, I've just got these bits laying around, so perhaps I'll have a rethink. Just because it's quite nice to just use some bits that I've got here laying about. So let's just put this one out of the way. I know that I've only just stuck this one together, so it's not that ideal, but I'm just going to cut this little pansy out because, you know, I might be able to use this on this piece. Probably not, but just in case. And plus, then I've committed to cutting it out rather than just leaving it there forgotten on my desk to get buried. Oh, it doesn't really kind of go with that, does it? No, don't think it does really. Well, I'll just put that to the side for another day. Okay, let me put some book page down to just lean on whilst I just ink this up. So just put these bits, oops, hang them up on my little bit behind my desk. Oh my gosh, come on. Oops, come on. Oh no, just putting everything down. Okay. Yeah, I literally feel like it's a summer's day up here. It's so hot. You know, where it's making you feel a bit drowsy, I feel a bit like that. It's like literally making me fall asleep. So I apologise if I'm now just kind of drifting off, but it really is very, very hot. Right, just trimmed that down slightly. Now, I finally bought some of these little makeup brushes as well. What's this? So I'm just going to ink this up because it's obviously looking pretty white at the moment. I'm undecided at the moment with the makeup brushes. I like certain things and other things not sure. I'm guessing they probably take a little while to get used to, so I'm reserving judgment at the moment. Yeah, I thought probably for me, who's obviously quite heavy-handed with my blending tool, I thought they'd be more seamless in their, you know, when they join together. Obviously, I hadn't factored in I was still going to be just as heavy-handed, only with a different style tool. So I'm not sure that the problem I was trying to get round has necessarily gone away. It's just, it's now, you know, different tool, slightly different effect. Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, they're quite nice to hold. That's quite nice. Also, I find that they do zap up quite a lot of ink. Yeah. But anyway, I got them from Amazon. They were, I think they were a pack of 5 for, oh, I can't remember, but maybe about £6 or £7. So yeah, they weren't too bad. And obviously I've only opened one. They're all identical, you know. But yeah, I'm just on my first one. And actually, to be fair, I presume I will be able to wash these out. And, you know, so from that point of view, that's quite nice, isn't it? To be able to just wash them out and then they'll hopefully last quite a long time. Okay, now I don't need to ink the middle because I'm going to stick this lady on here. just wondering whether I might be able to put some book page or something behind her. Get another little bit of something off of my desk there, you see. Okay. Just working out, like, you know, the fold edge is here, if not the fold edge, the open edge, sorry, is there. So I probably want it that way round, I think. So just pop that down. There we go. Probably, again, I should have inked that up before gluing it on, but never mind. So I might just ink this up before gluing it down. Okay. And just ink up that book page a bit. Yeah, I mean, I probably should have done that first, because then I wouldn't have had this wet bit there, but never mind. Got, you know, that just happened to be, again, laying around on my desk, this dyed blue lace trim, which actually, you know, just goes perfectly with this. So I might just use that. You know, it's been on my desk for obviously the longest time, but it just picks that up perfectly. So just going to glue this down. Okay. Oops. Okie dokie. Just have that there, I think. I'll just see what else I've got that we might like to have on here. That's too big. Oh, it just happens I have that blue butterfly there on the side of my desk. So you see, even having that 7 days working from my desk, clearly it wasn't that successful, because there's still an awful lot of stuff I'm able to pull from. But to be honest, you know, I mean, I did say this during the series. I mean, it had got a bit too out of control, even for my liking, but I love having such a messy desk. It's just so convenient, you know, to be able to just pull all sorts of bits and bobs is just so handy. There we go. And, you know, I know that I've said this in comments and things before, but I mean, I honestly just watch some of these people and just think, well, how are you crafting in that neat, tidy space? Because even on that very, and I mean very rare occasion that I've ever tidied up, I mean, seriously, the next time I did a project, it would be completely trashed yet again. So I'm a bit perplexed how these people kind of actually managed to craft in such a neat space. You know, I mean, it's a bit like when you tidy up, isn't it? And you know, those classics, I'm just going to use my hot glue here, those classic moments where you think, oh, I'm just going to put that somewhere safe. I mean, just never put anything somewhere safe, because that's a sure way to just lose it, I find. You know, somewhere safe translates to, oh my gosh, never find that. You know, never be able to find that. So, yeah, that's a bit how I am about the clear desk. I feel tidy up too much, you know, make it too tidy, and that's it. Nothing's ever going to be remotely findable. Just be lost forever. I quite like that, but actually I'm thinking that gold bling. But actually, just before I do that, I'm just Just having a little bit of a rummage here, seeing what I've got. Yeah, I prefer the gold, I think. So just pop that there. But I just found this flower as well lurking. I just thought, actually, I wonder if that might be nice somewhere. No, I like these. So I'm just going to glue this down. Now, can I do this without burning my fingers? We'll see. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to pop these flowers just down here at the bottom. And again, I'm just going to put them with my hot glue because then that gives them a bit more of a different dimension, really, because it makes them lift up a little bit more. I've obviously missed my hot glue gun while I've been away. Yep, that's right. And I would just put a tiny bit of bling on that butterfly, just to finish that off, like that, I think. Oh, that's so pretty, isn't it? Okay. Oh, I'm going to just apply that glue there. Okay. Oh, so pretty. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so then what you could do is just like on the back. I mean, of course, this is a floating pocket, so you could decorate the back, you know, to your heart's content anyway, you know, which would be lovely. I would probably be inclined to now just decorate that with something plain. So I'm just having a rummage to see if I've got any plain paper, you know, or just book page or anything, to be honest. But let's just have a look. You know, even sort of something like that, to be honest. Let me just have another look to see if I've got anything at all that's just right. And no, I don't think I have. Okay, hold on. Not that, but it's a bit small. Right, so what I'm going to do is just tear this envelope. A bit wasteful, I know, but oh gosh, especially as I've now torn it completely. Ugh, completely horribly. I've just got this massive chunk now missing from the bottom. Oh well. Oh, and I'd already glued the flat down. That's annoying, isn't it? Right. So if we pop that there. So again, I might just ink that up before we pop that on. Like that. Okay. And then we're just going to glue this down on the back. So yeah, this one was one of the ones that we made just now out of the just the scrapbook paper. So that's what that one was. If you wanted to see like decorating up a large one, it's on my 3 in 30 challenge, J for jumbo, where I did a large one. So yeah, that's on there if you wanted to see decorating a larger one. But you know, the concept's exactly the same, but just if you know, if you were interested and sort of wondered how it would look. Okay, just wondering whether I've got any more of those little roses that I could just pop on there, you know, just to marry it up to the front. And again, I must have, because, well, if it's not here, it's just not worth having. But can I see any? No. I've obviously done a bit too much of a good job of clearing my desk in that series, because now I can't find them at all. Oh, it's so annoying, isn't it? Because obviously I just wanted to really cover up where I've made that, you know, that big blemish here. Just wanted to cover that up. Right, hold on. Oh, here we go. I knew that I must have some somewhere. Just couldn't see any. They were buried. Okay. So just going to glue those on there, and I will glue these with the wet glue so they're not dimensional as such, like the ones on the front where we did it with the hot glue, because to me this now feels like this is the back of this floating pocket, so I just want to have that, you know, completely flat really. Okay, right, I don't have a journal on the go to be able to, you know, show you how it would look, but let me just pull in something that, you know, possibly resembles a journaling page a little bit. Obviously this is small, it's too small to be a journaling page, but just to give you a sort of rough idea that this is how this would be paper clipped on a page. Let me pull this in instead. Hold on. So this is how this would be, and obviously it would just be paper clipped on like that, and then could be moved around in your journal. So really, really pretty, and yeah, I hope that you like them. Hope you managed to get some done, and I hope you'll join me next week again for a fabric one. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, Em. Bye.